We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
I didn't say that.
I believe you did. I think you uttered the word shut up, save it for the show.
Oh, okay, that's different.
All right.
That's
So
positive constructivism
I almost hit the leave meeting button by accident. The mouse was
because you're
moving
so fed
around.
up.
Well, no, it said it gives me the option when you start recording, gives me the option to leave meeting.
Okay, hold on. 8:13. You got it?
Yep. It's actually 8:12 when we started.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not put a lot
All
of
right,
work
I
into
hold in my
this.
hand the last,
Oh, you had an extra one.
the last land shark. So I did the math. So I've had a six pack. That tells you that I'm not putting them away very fast. But I think 1 week I had two of them. So wait a minute. That would be one, two, three, four, five, four. This is so I've had it. This is the fifth week.
Back in the day, I used to drive a lot between Atlanta and Charlotte. Charlotte was when I lived in Atlanta. Charlotte was one of the markets I had to visit often, and it just sometimes it just made a lot of sense to drive versus the
To
flying
drink
there.
and drive. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
the drink and drive. So this is early 90s. So, it was still when you drove back and forth, you just had AM and FM radio, and the stations were slim pickings between Atlanta and Charlotte. But nonetheless, I would try to find talk shows to listen to. It was
Yeah.
just, whatever was available. I didn't really care. And so I was listening to, I think it was Dr. Laura. I think
Yeah, those were good
isn't
ones.
her sister was Hints with Heloise, right? Or something like that. I think
I don't
that
know
was
that
her
one.
sister in real life. Well, it wasn't a talk show, it was a book. It was like about manners and stuff like that. I think that
Yeah.
was her. Anyhow, so it was a call-in show, and some lady calls in and goes, I think my husband I'm not sure, but I think my husband has a drinking problem. And so, being the gracious host she is, she starts some small talk and tries to set the background to the whole thing. And she's, finally, after a couple minutes, she gets to the question, well, how much, how much does your husband drink? And she's like, well, maybe 2 liters a day. And she's like, oh, good Lord. He's got a. So when you said
Think.
you had one six pack, I was waiting for the a day, an hour, something like that to go out.
Well, I didn't say that, but that's the truth. No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that should tell the folks
Yes.
out there that there's we lived
I'll
in a
admit I
day.
had six this past Saturday.
Really?
Actually, more than six because I was drinking pints of beer. Yeah. Well, the first one was a 12 because I drank it out of the can. And then we went to a nice restaurant and I had two there.
Is this when I called you and you said, "Hey, I'm out with the family. Leave me alone"?
Yeah, probably. But
You
why
don't
would I have
remember?
told you? Hmm.
I wasn't calling you. I was. Let's get on with the show.
All right. Yeah. Well, welcome back, folks.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having here. Numbers are still looking great. Subscriber numbers are going up. So if you haven't subscribed, jump on the bandwagon, get in the groove, visit us there, listen to us. Our ads are actually quality ads now because we're getting some what's the word? Traction.
So, I have the phone. Pat Kelly sent me a text and said, "I don't know if you're aware of this, Dave, but the ads that are up here in no in Palm Coast
Right.
are like Adam and Eve stores, but it's a different name." And I said, "I don't think that has anything to do with our show, Pat.
Hey, that's still better than PSAs. Those are
That's your
paying.
algorithm, not ours."
Yeah, you should tell them that's what you listen to.
You better
I'm still
readjust
getting
your.
some Chubba casinos. I forget what I had the
There's a
other
new
day. It was some.
casino. I don't
Oh,
know what
oh, really?
Yeah, everyone's got one apparently now.
Okay. And it's so weird how much money must be in that because they all advertise it's free, no ads. So I'm thinking to myself, how are they generating revenue then?
Winnings, probably.
Well, you can't ask people to put money in.
Well, that's how casinos work, don't they?
Yeah, but these are online casinos. These aren't real casinos. These are like games you play on your phone.
You don't think there's winnings coming out of these things?
Uh, They might, I don't know.
Are they making
I'd
money
be
on
curious.
ads? Are they rolling
Well,
ads against it?
that's usually how these apps work. The one I use is ad based. I play a golf one called PGA Shootout.
No, a
I've been
friend of mine
playing it.
plays it.
I've been what's that?
A friend of mine,
I,
he'll watch the tournament that's going on that weekend, and he plays it. You're able to match the tournament somehow. I don't know how they do it.
oh, that's not on this one, but sometimes it is because there's 5 TPC courses on it, and like the past week they played in Memphis, so the app had a special Memphis package. But regardless, you can spend money, you can pay money to get your upgrades and everything faster. But I have a rule that if I'm going to play a game, I'm not going to dump money in it. I'll watch the ads if they want me to, and so I do that. And that one's ad based, but this Chumba Casino advertises it has no ads or anything. So I'm curious
I
what the
thought you had
play
to.
is.
I thought you had to put money up. I thought you had an account that you tied to it. I don't know. I don't want to give them any more credence. They're trying to sneak into Florida
Oh,
against this.
sneak in, yeah, that's it.
Well, I don't know how many years it is, but it gets on the ballot, and then we
Yeah,
vote
it
it
was.
down.
I always remember in the mid '90s when I lived there, early '90s when I lived there. I came moved back. They were trying to pass legislation for one in the Altamont area, I believe, near Orlando. And I remember I was fairly naive at the time as far as big business goes, and I remember Rick down there. I was roommates with him, and I'm like, man, there's ads on the radio for jobs for these casinos and stuff, but they haven't even passed legislation. He's like, well, they're trying to. He goes, don't you think they're just trying to make people feel good? I said, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I guess they are.
Well, apparently the legislation says the hotel has to have 500 rooms or more.
And
And
it has to
so,
be the only place you can have them is on a reservation, though, right now in Florida, right?
yeah, the Seminoles got them pretty
Right,
good.
right. And even they're infighting now over the money that casinos bring in. Are you a full-fledged, and this goes for any of the tribes, are you a full-fledged Seminole? Oh, you've got 1/10, uh, I don't know, English in
There,
you.
yeah.
You're not eligible for the casino anymore, or the revenue generated from the casino. It just greed is horrible, no matter where it is.
So, we're kind of all over the place. We got to. I know that people aren't listening live, but we got a little bit of a late start tonight. Um,
Thanks, Dave.
yeah. Well, thanks, Sheila. So actually, Sheila came home the other day. She called from the road and said, "Hey, my tire lights come on." I'm like, "Yeah." So,
Yeah, they
and
all
so
come on.
yeah, and so I said, "Let's go out and look at it." I looked at the tires. There was no.
You didn't
There was,
measure them. You just
I just looked at them.
eyeballed it.
Yeah, and she's got those low profile ones, so she could be low on air. You can't really tell,
Right. Yeah, they ride just about the same.
Yeah.
So
So
even with that knowledge, you still didn't measure them.
no, well, I put the pump on one. It had plenty of air in it. I said, "It looks like you're fine." And
Right.
so I said, "Maybe those stupid valves are going bad, and we're not buying those valves."
Yeah, they're
Well,
like $400. You got to buy them with a set or something like that.
turns out she's coming out of Winn-Dixie today, not too far, probably about 6 miles from the house, and pow, she hears a big loud noise. And she didn't
Yeah.
call me to come get her. She just came on home, drove home
Love it.
under control. Yeah, and it turns out the front passenger, the seam has blown out. I don't know, probably 16 inches long.
So she was riding on the cords. There was no tread.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
I
good
don't know
husband
how-
you are, man.
Yeah, I know. I
like,
don't know how fast she was going. Were you going very fast, Sheila? Oh God, she was flying. So I guess the centrifugal force made the tire stand up and go, "Hang on, we're going in." But it
yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
shred it. It didn't rub the rim
Oh, they
down.
usually don't blow that way. Yeah, they just stay unless you drive on them for 6 miles after they've gone
Well,
flat.
at 60 miles an hour.
You'll burn the edge off.
So the crazy thing is, remember we were talking a couple episodes back about
Yes,
joining AAA?
I thought you were joking about it.
Well, I said I've brought it up several times about Sarah having it in Pittsburgh, and I kept blowing it off. And I said, maybe God's trying to tell me something, And so I said, we're going to do this. So I got my membership, and the two girls got theirs for free.
Right.
And of course, now I didn't use it when I had the fuel pump issue.
Well, that would
But
have been a
then,
little tricky, but yeah.
yeah, but then I said, you know what? We got AAA. So I called AAA and they said, we can be there in about 30 minutes, Mr. Theus. I said, beautiful.
Yeah.
So they sent out a fella in a pickup truck with a lift.
Right.
They didn't have a tow truck. It was just a pickup truck. And he
Yeah.
changed the tire and he
Now
goes,
he just put your spare on, right?
yeah, he goes, I think I can plug it. I'm like, I don't think so. Wait till you
Is
see
that
it.
and if was it the donut or a full size spare?
Oh, no, donut. But it's
Oh,
a
so
pretty nice one.
yeah, but don't be driving over 20 miles an hour with it.
No, he said 50.
Oh, it does say 50 on it. Okay, but yeah,
Yeah.
don't go too far. Just go to the tire store,
Well,
man.
I think Sheila's trying to negotiate taking my car to work tomorrow,
Okay.
and
You
then
know
I'll
they have
take hers.
AAA garages too.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can
Well,
do that.
we're gonna go to Walmart and get two new front tires to match the back ones that we put on there. So I'll take care of that tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what's also nice about AAA is for batteries. When your battery goes out, they'll come to your house and replace the battery, and it's not terribly any more expensive than it is anywhere else. So
Well,
it's a pretty good deal.
we don't have any sponsorships by AAA, but in case they were listening and they thought this would be a good idea,
Well, I'll be
um,
hashtagging them in the description to try and get their attention
well, there you
for
go.
sure.
But
So
I gave them all high marks
on
on the
your Yelp
survey.
review, yeah.
On the survey, yeah. And so they've I've never had a bad experience with
Did
AAA.
he ask for a ride to the liquor store?
Just listen, my car's
Hey,
out of gas.
Mr. Theus, I could be out to change that tire in half an hour, but you got to pick me up.
I got
If
the
you're wondering,
lift and
people,
the
go back and listen to Dave's AC story from a
I
few.
got the lift and the power gun, but I don't have any wheels.
That'd be awesome for
What if he
AAA
shows up in
guy.
an Uber? That would be hilarious. Hmm, I don't know. Well,
Nice.
modern day times, people get
Anyhow.
around. You got to do what you got to do. All right. So that's why I'm kind of sweaty and bleh.
All right. Well, so you started school this week, and last week we were talking briefly about your curriculum, and then I had a question in my mind afterwards. I wanted to pose to,
Yeah, go.
and so it's to remind folks you're kind of exposing kids to career choices, right? And
Correct.
and everything they come with. And one of the ones you mentioned, I guess, was architect.
Correct.
All right. Do in this day and age, do we explore any career choices that maybe are blue collar?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay. All
My
right.
program, we're part of the really the core concept between career technical education is exploring, what we call the trades.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and so we know it's really
I mean, it's not good for the conversation on here because I was going to really ride you hard about teaching kids about, blue collar jobs or trades, as they
yeah,
say.
no. We in the state of Florida, I think we have I don't know if it's a state of Florida slogan or it's everywhere, but it's ready to work. And what we're discovering is everyone was telling us that AI was going to take all the blue collar jobs. I don't know how that was going to work out, but it
Now it's
was.
going to take a lot of some of the white collar
Yeah,
jobs,
but
maybe, but yeah.
it's gonna get rid. And we were all telling all of our kids they got to be coders, and Microsoft is laying off thousands of people that
Well,
are in
that's because
coding.
yeah. AI can write code as well. They can't do it as well. And you know what? I have a theory about that. Anyhow, is there's such a chasm between the user of software and the coders, right? In that what we ask for in the code or usability never. If you ever notice, it never comes back the way you want it. No matter how hard you try. I don't know if you get involved in any of that stuff, but good Lord. And that's because a lot of the coding is done overseas, right? If
Mm.
not locally, but they're so far removed from
The
the
customer experience,
the user side of the software that they hear a completely different request than what you ask for. And it translates and then you wait 6 months for it. And then they give it to you and you go, well, this is nothing what I asked for, in the software. So anyhow, I'm sorry to dive
no,
into
but
your.
maybe the AI is gonna. I had this weird feeling.
I don't think it's going to replace everybody, but it's
well,
going
but
to
let me
lower
just
the
let me
amount
just
of
say
coders
this out
needed.
loud. Don't hang me on this little phrase. Of as far as code goes, I think all that is all that is needed has been written. Now,
There's some truth to that.
I think there's a lot of historical code or solutions that have been solved. Now, are there new technologies coming? Sure. Are there are there really new problems? Maybe because
Yeah,
of
yeah.
technology centered. But I
Mhm.
think a lot of the basic point of sale stuff, the inventory control, I think it's out there. And I think the AI, instead of hiring someone to reinvent the wheels, I'll give you an idea. It's kind of like WordPress and web blah, 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 in website design. My first website that I hired a fella to write for us for Sarah's Coffee, I think it cost us close to $10,000,
What?
and he wrote every code
Oh,
for
every
every
line of code
color
for it. Yeah,
and every shade, all
right.
the CSS that he wrote, all that
You had to sell
stuff.
a lot of coffee to pay for that website.
Well, but it was the technology, and it had all these glitches that we had to get through. But now it's just cut and paste
For
because
the
it's
most
out there.
part, right. But there's software behind it that does that, right? And
But to my
like,
point, that code's
yeah.
already been written, so I think it's out there, and I think we're going to see a lot of that
I mean,
what I call
that's
gooiness.
yeah, that's been the evolution of software in general, right? In that the CPU chip or the chip that NVIDIA or anybody else writes, in the beginning it had very little. It had mathematics on it, was generally the only thing on there. But as software developed and the chips could hold more information, the chips started handling more and more the basic code that had to be written in the past, right? So instead of having to write, I want a green background on the page, there was a piece of code on the CPU that would generate that for you, and you
Yeah,
just ask the CPU for it. So the only where, like I said, that's where I think your concept has some bones, where where there'll still be a need for coders and stuff is that as technology, computers in general, specifically develop, as in a supply chain, there's always
a
something holding it up,
workaround or a
right? Yeah,
fix.
like
Yeah,
RAM's the issue or CPU timing's the issue. There's always something holding the software back, and for that reason, they write new base code.
yeah,
We have. I'm trying to think Python now, and we used to have C plus, and it was started with BASIC and Unix and Linux. Well, that's operating system. Sorry, but the point is there'll be a new language, and they'll have to adapt all that stuff, and
yeah,
so it just won't be at the level that it was 10 years
yeah. They
ago
they
and
won't
now.
start at ground zero. Now, if you're planning on traveling to Mars, I assume you're writing some new innovative stuff. That you're going to have to get yourself out past the moon, for example. I don't.
Well, we've
That's
gotten
a
to Mars,
Yeah, that's
so.
true. We've got landers on there, and so rovers, whatever you call them. So that code is being written and established and built upon. But I don't want to get too far. We're
Yeah,
way past my pay grade in this stuff. But I just don't think
and I'm
it's.
just making up stuff at this point.
That's when I was like, hey, two plus two. I just don't know that where we are in 2025 is light years ahead of 1979.
I think
Um,
it is, but
yeah,
anyhow.
yeah. Anyway, so yes, we do some of that, and we'll discuss some of those things. We did a pretty cool exercise this week already. If you got a minute, it was pretty fascinating. I asked them just to kind of get a concept on the table. I said, "Are you familiar with the two words or the two phrases, C to B, customer to business, or business to customer, and the other one is B to B, business to business?" And so we took Starbucks and made the example, and the customer to business they grappled pretty well with pretty quick. They understood that we're going to park the car, drive in, survey the menu, make a choice, pay for it, wait for a cup, get our drink, and sit in the table or the chairs and enjoy it and hang out, then leave. And they
Yeah.
grasped the customer to business experience. Then I started asking most, okay, same scenario, Starbucks, what is the business to business side of this? And they, they had no clue. They were like, okay, the guy works at McDonald's and he leaves McDonald's and comes over and gets a frappe. That's business to business. I'm like, no.
He's a businessman, Dave.
Yeah. Then they said, what about if Starbucks sponsors a team? That's business to business. No.
No.
And so a couple of them started, you could see
Well,
the
I guess
stall
it
test.
is if they sponsor like an NFL team. But yeah, I get they weren't
Yeah.
on the right page. Yeah.
Yeah. But a couple of them started to grapple with it. I keep saying, why do I keep saying grapple?
I don't know. You like that word. You live in Florida.
Well, I said frapple just a minute ago. But anyway, so
Well, that's like a frappuccino. It's maybe
maybe
where
that's
you
what it is.
combine the two words.
Yeah. So they got the concept that what about the stuff that you need to work behind the counter to make this stuff work? And so we line itemed behind the counter all the machines, all the dairy products, all the coffee beans, you know, I'll go into the litany of things. And then we laid out all the stuff in the interior of the building, all the furniture,
The aprons,
aprons. We covered that.
the cinnamon for the cinnamon cake,
the stir sticks, and then we talked about the exterior of the building design build itself, the construction,
Right.
the landscaping, the asphalt, the striping, the signage. And I came up with about 30 different industries touch this one building
right.
to get your cup of coffee, and they were mind blown. It was like, wow, we had no idea that all this stuff is going on for just one
Right.
cup of coffee. So that was the introduction to the class.
And that's why they charge your mom and dad $10 a cup instead of.
So then I broke down the concept today about, you've heard the slogan free coffee, right? And there's no free lunch.
You know, free lunch I've heard, but I've heard about the free coffee.
Well, free coffee, like you go to an old diner, it says free coffee with a meal. You'll see those signs like, you know, have breakfast, free coffee. And so I asked the question, is it really free coffee? And this little kid holds his hand up and goes, no, Mr. Theus. We go to Costco with my mom and dad because they have free samples, but my dad says they're not really free because we have to pay the membership to Costco. I'm like, hey, yeah, you're barking up the right tree. I said, I'll give you 1 million Tiger tokens, these little plastic tokens they can get, if you can tell me what's the name of that cost. Of course, he didn't know it. It's intrinsic cost.
Now, let me ask you, had he given it to you, where would you have come up with 1 million Tiger tokens?
No, I would have just said that's a ball-faced lie. I'm not giving you that. This is your first experience with
kid would have bought himself. The kid would have been able to buy himself A's for every glass.
Yeah, I'd have been like, yeah, I lied. Anyway,
and what do they call that cost, Jimmy?
Suck it up. Life's not fair. So I went through this whole diagram. I said, okay, let's walk through why coffee's not free. It's amazing. You know, you start at the guy who plants the coffee bush and then all the steps that are taken.
Juan Valdez.
Juan Valdez. How do we get to this point where we can pour a cup of coffee in my cup for $2? And every step along the way, there's a profit model around the coffee.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I ever considered that business until I went to MBA school, right? And because I was an engineer my whole life, I didn't have to worry about business in my eyes, right? Until it mattered. So yeah, it was, I didn't have an eye-opening moment in civics when I was in school. Of course, I was probably pissing the teacher off or something instead of paying attention, right?
Probably.
Yeah, that was my MO.
Yeah, so I'm excited. The kids are excited. I think we're going to have some fun. My one of my administrators came in while I was doing I think I was doing the code of conduct today, and we were talking about I don't know, but I was giving them the Dave version. She looked at me and I was like, yeah, they're getting it, you know. But anyway, all right. Cool. You got any news items? I got one or two news items. We
were talking about technology and
you go with it.
Yeah, I was just, it's news that AOL is going to discontinue its dial-up service. And I was kind of laughing. I'm like, who the hell is using dial-up service anymore? There's a whole algorithm behind that, by the way. There's why it makes all those noises and everything. So it was actually a way of setting up the two lines so they could communicate at the correct speed. They were talking to each other, essentially, making sure each side understood each other. That was part of modem's technology. But it's going to be shut down on September 30th. So they didn't give us but a month and a half. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So if you're watching,
That's why
us
we
on
keep freezing up.
yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, folks, you might want to upgrade your service by the end of September so you can keep giving us some good numbers.
So what do you think is bandwidth the right word? Was there bandwidth in that situation that was going on with
I
AOL?
no, it's kind of back to what you were just talking about in the it's costing them more to keep support for dial-up customers than they're getting in revenue from
So
dial-up
there's actually
customers.
someone paying a subscription to this service?
Y- yes.
Wow. We don't have our little
Well,
assistant
I should
tonight,
let me
so
back up. I misquoted you there. No, you could dial into AOL for free, right? But that was your way of that was your gateway to the internet. Just not just your email, but the internet in general. But with broadband technologies and its accessibility these days, and I lost my train of thought. Websites and everything have become bandwidth intensive. So I don't know how anybody other than doing even emails, because everybody adds a banner to their email now, that opening
yes.
an email with dial-up. I mean, you think about the average person probably now, even with if they're using ISDN or is probably getting somewhere in the neighborhood of, at the very low end, 50 meg of bandwidth at the very lowest point. Dial up, even with the best dial connection, I got to imagine anybody's using it's remote, so they're probably getting less than 125K. So that's magnitudes of thousands less than what they can get with even a minimum broadband situation. So. But I know they're thinking about getting rid of that broadband funding now. So I don't know how that plays in with this, because that was part of the deal is, companies could apply for broadband funding to build out in the rural networks of the United States. So
Okay.
everybody could have broadband.
Yeah. So I remember when I ran for Congress, this was a talking point that the woman who won the seat that I was running for, she was promising everybody at the end of the road was going to get, broadband, because we had all these kids in these rural communities. But did Elon fix that with the satellite?
No, I mean, yes, in the sense that you can get it, but the cost is significantly higher, and your bandwidth is still somewhat limited. Granted, it's better than dial-up from AOL, but yeah, it did. But it's still a high hurdle for someone to cross. That maybe it just doesn't have the money for it or the need to spend that kind of money per month just for access to the internet. So.
Well, I don't know that we were spending the money was getting solutions offered, because I know we were just spending it, but no one was getting the hookup. Nobody was getting connected in the rural communities.
I wouldn't say nobody. I mean, good
I don't
Lord,
know if it was getting spent though. But
it takes time is the problem. I mean, I'm in that business, right, of putting fiber in the ground, and it's hard.
My wife was in cable for a long time,
right.
And
that's a little different.
I know, but from the logistics standpoint, at the end of the road, what I'm talking about, we moved out to the country at one point, and we knew that if there's not enough customer base, the cable doesn't have enough incentive to run coax all the way to the end of the road for one customer.
But they were, what do they call it when the government subsidized? They were subsidized early on in the 70s, but that didn't last
even
long.
still, but that still had to make economic sense for someone to have subscribers.
Yep.
And that's the same thing that's going on with your AT&T is not going to run fiber out there with 3 houses on the line and spend $40,000 to put in a network. I mean,
but they built copper out there.
Well, but that was kind of a grandfathered old.
Yeah, that's the same way that cable companies were. They were given a license to operate in an area, so they were guaranteed a monopoly, right?
Well, I think the FCC, at the beginning of the whole idea of having connectivity when Ma Bell started was everyone should have access to this phone thing.
And that's where we're at with broadband. Everyone should have access to broadband. So
Well,
Same thing. It's just it's a much more competitive world than it was back in those days, and it's hard. I mean, some companies. I don't want to get into the details of my company, but I know when I was at Verizon, we stayed away from all government grant uh, build projects because it came with too many ties,
yeah.
too much paperwork, too
When
much
you
everything. But I know a lot of companies in the Tennessee area. I read the broadband reports and see who's getting the funding because I was curious about when I didn't have broadband at my place, and I do now. And I was just watching, who's taking the funding, so who should I look for to provide my service to me? Yeah, it's constant, and it is a worthy thing if you believe in broadband for the people. So,
yeah.
so
Okay.
anyhow, yeah. So,
Well, there was
so if
there
you're
was
still using the dial-up modem, my kids don't even know what one is.
there was one other piece of interesting news. I don't know if you saw this. The Minnesota Vikings. Did you pick up on that story?
I guess not. What about the Vikings?
Well, they're not the only team to do this, by the way, but apparently it's getting tremendous pushback from the fan base. Um, they've added two male cheerleaders to the cheer squad.
Oh, they have that here in Charlotte.
But are they like college male cheerleaders where they're hoisting the girls over their head, or are they kind of dressed up like girls?
No, they're dressed like a male cheerleader, but they do the same dances. It's not like they're there to hoist the women up.
They're
They're
not burly
part.
guys picking
No,
girls up, but they're
no.
kind of feminine dancing crews.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
it threw me off when I first saw it. I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, hey, why not? Whatever, you know."
well, no, I'm not throwing everybody under the bus, but apparently the Vikings, the whole Viking um regalia, I guess, kind of gets. But I don't know. It's girls too, so who knows?
Yeah,
I think it
you're
go.
always going to find you can't make everybody happy, right? So there's going to
Well,
be
but
a
it
select
is.
bunch that argue for it and a select bunch that argue against it. No
But
one
but
likes
as a but
change.
as a football fan,
I don't even watch them.
I don't either. That's
So
the
I
truth.
don't know what the even when I'm at the game, I don't watch them.
Well,
I
I'm not
have
a big fan
no
of
interest.
cheerleaders. As a
Yeah,
as a football
I'm
player,
yeah.
yeah, they're useless.
Well, I think in the day when you had one section of stands and you wanted to get there was an advantage as a home team to get your crowd vocal and loud, and
Sure,
that was the whole
12th man.
concept. Yeah, that was the whole concept of a cheering crew was to get the crowd worked up. I think it still works at the school level to some extent, but when you're playing in a 70,000 seat arena and there's five people down at the corner of the end zone and you're in it, you're up in the upper tier. It's like, I can't hear what they're saying, son. Let me know. I don't know what to cheer.
Yeah, it's about the calendars, though, really, Woody. I mean, it's about buying the
The
calendars.
revenue. Yeah.
Yeah,
The revenue. I used to, when I worked, I did some freelance work for the Orlando Magic back in the day. And part of my job, so I was at what they call a camera grip, right? I worked the cables and everything for
right.
the cameraman, and I worked specifically. I was working for the cameraman on the floor of the game, and during the game, they would sit still, right under the
Right.
basket, and so I just sit there and during the game and sit behind. But I got to sit with all the cheerleaders or the dance squad, if you will, of the Orlando Magic at the time, and yeah, most of them are just it's there's no money in it.
No.
There's zero money in it, and it's more about they get some for doing they like some birthday party will call up and say, hey, we want some cheerleaders come, not to cheer, just to be like team spirit kind of
Yeah,
thing. And
like a bachelor party, but no.
yeah, I would say I'm talking kids parties or something.
I
And
thought I thought he was turning 12. No, it's
it's 18.
joke's on you. No,
But his
I don't know.
name's
I'm
John,
not.
little Johnny.
I was just quoting it from the standpoint of being somewhat newsworthy that one more of the NFL teams have added male cheerleaders to their squad. I really don't have a dog in the hunt. I don't care.
I think the real news would be if the Dallas Cowboys, well, they might have by now. I don't know.
Well, LA's got them apparently. I think there's like five or so squads that have them.
Like I
But
said, I Panthers
one
do.
team's got them, and they're the college, the guys that
Okay.
are
Where the
hoisting girls up.
throwing the girls like 20 feet in the air so they
Yeah,
can seriously damage
dismember their
themselves.
bodies or
You're
something.
right. Exactly.
Uh, yeah.
What did I talk about right before that? Oh, AOL. That's right. So I'm taking notes here, people. Sorry. I forgot to write down
It's
what I
hard
was
to
talking
name
about.
our episodes. Have you noticed that? Is it challenging to name them?
Not for me because I write down like a subject, just a word about what we're talking about,
Maybe
and
I
then
should do that.
and then I can call from that because I have the same format. So people for behind the curtain thing, I named the YouTube episode and Dave names the podcast episode. So and we don't confer on it because immediately when this call's over, I hang up on Dave and go
Yeah.
on about my business. So
We're sworn to secrecy at that point.
right. So
It's
it's always a great joy for me to see his title. I'm sure he feels the same way when I release the YouTube video on Sundays.
Oh, great joy is the word I was
Elation.
thinking of. The elation, yes. Ooh, sometimes it gets messy, but yeah. Anyway, okay, so schools up and running. We had some. I can't talk about it, but we had some pretty fun stuff going on in the county already. So kids will be kids. But everybody's fine. Everybody's safe
All
and
right.
well taken care of. And sixth graders are totally interesting. They are smaller than average, which has been a unique situation to deal with.
Smaller than average.
Well, I mean, I've been dealing with seventh and eighth graders. It's interesting. The guy next to me teaches seventh and eighth graders, and I see some of the kids I had from last year, and they're like giants.
Yeah, it's I personally didn't go till I got to college. I was tiny till college, man. So
Well, it's been kind of cool because I've been there long enough to have a seventh grader go to eighth grade, and then maybe that
right.
kid would come to my class for another class that I taught. But now I see them in the halls, and every one of them that I had last year that are now eighth graders, I'm like, holy cow, are you guys in high school now? What I mean,
They
but
got mustache, full beards.
but the kids I've got are so small, So
Right, right.
um,
And you
and
must
they're
look like a giant to them.
well, I'm sure I'm scaring half of them, but they're so lovable. I mean, they see me on campus and they can, oh, Mr. Diaz, and there's a certain amount of that goes on with seventh and eighth graders. They're just happy to see you, and that you recognize them. But this really happens in the sixth grade. So far so good. I got a couple knuckleheads that are trying to push the buttons. I've had to kind of give them the stare and say that we're not doing that. But yeah,
Hey, I got a interesting trivia thing to ask your kids
mm-hmm.
and the listeners here tonight. And let me see if you can get this. If you had a piece of paper, it can be of infinite size, right? How many times in normal paper? I don't know what the thickness of a normal piece of 8.5 by 11 is, but you know how thin that is. How many times do you think you'd have to fold it in half for it to be as high or to reach the moon?
The thickness of it to reach the moon?
Yes. If conceivably you could do that.
It's probably less than you think. No, that'd be crazy. Yeah, is this a real thing?
Yeah.
So whatever the millimeter thick, like you put the what's that gauge you use? The macrometer?
Yeah, or God, I have one downstairs right now.
Yeah, the
I
thing you
can't
used to
think
do your
of it.
spark plugs with.
Yeah, I forget what the average piece of paper thickness is. Ask our research assistant.
I don't have her. She's
Oh,
screwed
good
up.
Lord, Dave. Jeez. Well, imagine the thickness of a piece of paper.
Yeah, I've got one right here.
How many times would you have to fold it in half? So you'd fold it in half, then fold that in half, and keep going. How many times would you do that for it to be as tall as the distance from the?
So you could theoretically keep doing that, and then the thickness that the paper would become would be the distance from here to the moon.
Yes,
We're talking a couple miles.
Yeah, a couple hundred miles.
1,000 times.
If we had our research assistant, I don't know. No,
less.
42.
You're so full of crap.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving you. I'm not giving you the go because what I did the same thing you did. I wasn't really thinking about it, and it's it's to give a concept of exponential growth is what it's supposed to.
Well, I do that with, remember our stock portfolio, by the way, we'll have to give an update. We're doing pretty well still. I did
We're still
that
doing
with,
a show, Dave, for $11 every so many months. So it must not be doing that well.
No, it's doing okay.
Right.
42 times.
Yeah. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that is cool.
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, that's now, did you know no matter how this is where it breaks down though, no matter how large the piece of paper is, even if it was the size of the continental United States,
You can't get there.
well, no, you can't. How many times do you think you can fold any piece of paper in half? This is a good bar trick for you young kids.
Well,
when
it's
you
got to
get
be
older.
less than 42. Otherwise, we'd all be walking.
We'd all be
around the
walking
moon.
to the moon by now.
6 times.
Yeah, I think it's 7. I think the record is 11, and someone basically took
Straight
toilet
Uh-huh.
paper and made like a kilometer long piece, and they were able to fold it 11 times. I know Mythbusters did it at one point too. They may have gotten to 8 or something like that.
It's
but
like tearing a phone book in half or something like that.
it was just you try. I mean, if that's another one you can do with a sheet of paper in your class, right? How many times can you fold this in half? Well, most people I don't think get past 7. So that just
But only 42, and you're out of
the
your
moon.
building.
Right. Because at some point, don't forget on that last fold, you only have to be halfway to the moon.
You better call the air traffic controllers on that one. Hey, listen, we're getting
I'm
ready.
at 30 times. Pretty soon I'm going to be in the stratosphere here.
What is that on the radar? I don't know. I think Dave and Woody are folding paper again. That sounds like something I would have done as a kid to get a world record for.
I loved the Guinness Book of World Records growing up. And I had such low self-esteem. I never really considered trying to figure out a way to get a world record, but it's not that hard. You really just got to have the money to pay for one of those Guinness people to come to your house.
So one summer, Bill Gilbert, a friend of mine, lived down the street from me. We were in high school, I think, and he had a porch on the back of his house. It was a screen porch, but they closed it in, so it became a game room kind of thing, a Florida room we called them. And they had a pool table, and it wasn't a regulation pool. It was a big pool table, but it wasn't like the
right.
It wasn't an Olympic
size
pool table.
Olympic pool table.
And so we got a hold of the Guinness Book of World Records and said, wait a minute, we could feasibly play pool over the summer. We had this thing figured out that we were going to do it over the summer. And this would be a good stop for Alexa, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of time tonight. We missed her.
Wait a minute. Is she on? Alexa, are you there? Alexa, are you there?
Present.
Oh.
Just call my name and I'll come running.
You know what it is? She's here. Hey, welcome.
Well, ask how thick a piece of paper is.
Alexa, welcome back, first of all.
Thanks for the warm welcome. I'm back and ready to assist. Though
that's the original
really
Alexa.
Just had a quick digital stretch.
Yeah, Alexa, volume 10.
We hear her just fine, Dave.
Okay, so here's a couple questions. Oh shit. Alexa, volume 10. So our first question, Alexa, is how many times?
No.
Oh crap. Alexa, what's the question, Woody?
How thick is a normal piece of paper?
A typical piece of paper is about 0.1 millimeters thick. This can vary slightly depending on the type and quality of the paper, but most office and copy paper falls within the range of 0.07 to 0.1 millimeters. Would you like to know some interesting facts about paper production?
No.
Okay. Alexa, is there any truth to folding a normal piece of paper so many times to get to the moon?
She's digging deep.
No, it's not possible to fold a normal piece of paper enough times to reach the moon. A standard piece of paper can only be folded about 7 times due to its thickness and size. Even if you could fold it more, you'd need a piece of paper the size of 5 football fields to reach the moon after 45 folds, which is practically impossible.
Oh, she means when it's in the epigee of the orbit. I'm talking when it's closest. It's 42 when it's closest, not 45.
What the hell are you talking about?
I don't
It's
know.
at
I'm
its
just.
closest point to Earth, called perigee. The moon is
Perigee.
still about
I was
300
close. Come on, for pulling that one out of my
104
ass.
kilometers,
Like, I was pretty close.
225,623 miles away.
Apogee.
Reach that distance by folding paper.
I think I said
You'll need an
perigee.
impossibly large sheet of paper, much bigger than anything practical.
What is
The
she?
math just doesn't
Okay,
work out for
Alexa, stop
reaching the
talking, please.
Okay, hold on, Alexa. This is
Yeah.
very. You just caught Woody in a big fat lie. What did she say? 5,000 yards?
No,
Well,
she said 45. I said 42.
No, I know, but how big was the piece of paper to start off with? 5 football fields or something?
I don't know what she's talking
All right.
about.
What was the other thing we were going to ask her?
What was your last question? Whatever you were talking about, right? And I didn't even write down that note because all of a sudden we were excited that you said, "Oh, that would have been great to ask."
Oh, Alexa, what is the world record for playing billiards?
You want to break it down? Number
The
of
world
games,
record for playing
days?
billiards is 526 consecutive balls in straight pool without a miss, set by
Ooh.
Willie Mosconi in 1954.
No. Okay, hold on. Is
You
there
know, yeah, no, you got to narrow down your questions
many
when you.
hours playing pool
Oh,
is
my
the
God.
world's record?
The current world record for longest continuous hours playing pool is 105 hours and 22 minutes, set by Darren Stocks and Graham Cuthbert in 2017.
It's
That
not
doesn't
long.
sound that hard. I think you can break that one, buddy.
I know that's. I don't think it was 100.
You think I've got what it takes to outpool those record holders? I'd love to give it a shot, but I'm
This
afraid
is the
my
problem
cue
with the
ball
new
skills are
Alexa. She
purely
doesn't
digital.
know when to stop
Maybe in
talking.
my next update, I'll get some virtual pool practice.
Okay, Alexa, stop for a minute.
I don't like this new Alexa. She won't stop yapping.
I don't think
It's
she
my
likes
turn
you.
to yap on this podcast, not hers.
Yeah, that's a different podcast. Chatting with Alexa. Tune
Well,
in on
that's
that
right.
one.
Are you still burning those episodes?
No, I got 2 in the can. I keep coming up with an idea.
Oh man, you just turned your microphone off, dude.
I know. I was just
Oh, there
kidding.
you go. All right.
Why
don't you ask Alexa to turn your microphone on?
I'll ask her. All right. I don't know who fixed her. Sheila, did you fix Alexa? Wow.
Hey, did you know we burned through our time?
I think we did. Holy crap.
Yeah.
We've been going long, super long, the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I had plenty more to talk about, but we're good.
I feel like we're Joe Roden.
Who?
I always call him Roden. Roden?
Rogan.
Rogan.
You talk about the podcast guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He does 3 hours.
Well, he also gets paid a crap load of money.
So you're saying if we made as much as Joe did, we'd talk for 3 hours?
Oh, yeah, hell, I'd talk for 5 hours. What kind of money he's burning right now?
I wouldn't wear any pants either.
You keep mentioning that. You must really want to do that. I have a feeling.
Who says I'm not?
Well, you need to wrap it up tonight. We're late as it is.
Oh, yeah, we need to go. All right. Well, thanks, Woody, for giving me a little chance to get the tire fixed. That was
No
I didn't
problem,
do
man.
anything, but we had got AAA. AAA, thank you, AAA. You, did a
You
great
watched
job.
him change the tire.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, smash the button, like us and
Yeah.
follow us, and subscribe over on YouTube. What do you want to say before you step all over me again?
Subscribe.
There you go. And then, of course, listen and follow along on Instagram. No. Spotify. No. What the hell's it called?
Spotify.
Spotify. And iHeartRadio and Spreaker.
And send an email if you got a question.
Yeah, we didn't get an email. Sorry. Some guy telling us how to get more listeners. And I'm like, whatever. We don't need you.
We're doing
All right,
just
we're
fine.
signing off. We're long. We'll see you later.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.